Well, once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for viewing the Know Your Nights. Uh, we have a special guest from the Mount Makiling chapter in Los Banos, Laguna. Uh, as you know, the purpose of Know Your Nights is basically to have a glimpse of the experiences of our brother knights in the Knights of Rizal, and maybe share their words of wisdom based on those experiences and recommendations based on those experiences. Uh, so, Sir Peter, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. Back to work for long holidays here in the
Long holidays.
Philippines.
Sir, can you give us a background of your family?
Yes. First, I'm Peter G. Gonzalez, native of Los Baños, and my wife is Cheryl. I met her in during our college days in UP Los Baños. We have two children. My eldest is 16 years old, now grade 11, and my youngest is a boy who's grade 6, also studying in Los Baños, Laguna.
Sir, how did you get involved with the Knights of Rizal?
I get involved in Night Survey back in 2015 when our NGO donated a statue of Rizal in one of the elementary school in Los Baños. We asked for assistance in not in a KO, not in Night of Rizal, but a group of Rizalian in Calamba. So we requested assistance. So the vice mayor then is Rizal. I think Rizal also. He sent a person's named Ed Junio, which is the deputy area commander then of the Night Rizal in Region 4. So that the way it started. So the persons he sent to assist the our NGO give us the a very good impression of the very accommodating or very humble assistance uh, given to the group way back in 2015. So every year, Night of Rizal is a guest during the June 19 or birth anniversary of Rizal because we donated a a young Rizal then. So every June 19, the KO our members are one of the speakers of the anniversary or celebration. So that's the way it started.
Sir, what do you think is the significance of a statue of Rizal in a community?
Yes, we conceptualize the statue, not the life size, but the younger Rizal. We have the prototype in Calamba City, so we have to uh, copied it and donated it to the elementary school. We tend to give the statue of Rizal so that little people or children can relate to the young Rizal, not the bigger Rizal, the professional Rizal.
Now, that's a very
Yes, sir.
good technique in getting the children involved
Yes, sir.
and relating with the Jose Rizal. I think the other chapters might want to think about that, if especially if they want to target the children, and
Yes, sir.
instead of the young, the old, not the old, but the mature Rizal,
Professional.
the professional Rizal
Yes.
with the book and a trench coat. What what do you think, sir? Is the you mentioned about the NGO back then? What do you think, sir? Should the relationship between the Knights of Rizal and NGOs or city or city government should be, so that we could easily do our mission in the Knights of Rizal?
I think based on our experience, they recruited us in a group. All of my officers are members of my former NGOs. So I think the advantage of recruiting as a group, they have the experience to work as a group, as an organization. They have their experiences, and so compared to you collect different persons with different backgrounds, then you put it in the organization like the Knight of Rizal. You have to have an adjustment first go before you conduct activities. So that time, during the 2018, my officers are my officers in the NGO. So we facilitated different activities, or we conducted different activities in very smooth manner. Yes, then we treated that the relationship between the NGO that by then between KOR is, we do not know any idea about KOR. So the NGO or the people in that community or introduced the Knight of Rizal to us. So in a way to the politician, someone back then the Vice Mayor of Calamba, that we have a previous engagement with him. So when we need assistance related to the Knight, related to Resale, so we easily get assistance to the Vice Mayor of Calamba City.
So
If
what impressed you, sir, to join the Knights of Rizal as an organization? What made you think, oh yeah, this Knights of Rizal is a good organization to join?
we first engagement with the KOR members are in 2015, but we formalized our membership only in 2018. So during those years, we the people inside the NGO always deliberate when we join the group. So without having sacrificed the NGO or our organization, if we left by group, so it's not easy. It's not just a snap of fingers to join, but it required a constant deliberation inside the organization. That I think what you said, what drives us to join formally in the organization is the people like Edunio, Rolando Calacas, and other people in the Calamba chapters are very supportive, and what it is, they're humble, very humble and approachable people. Traits that a good knight should be or must
Uh-huh.
be. Very humble and kind.
Sir, to you, sir, what is a good Knights of Rizal chapter?
Based on my experience, because the Mount of Makiling chapter is a revival chapter. A revival chapter. It has lived for a long years. My impression of the Knight of Rizal then, before, is a group of elitist people in the community. Because when we reviewed the members, the members in the late early 80s down to the late 90s, these are people with positions in government in Los Banos, mayor, councilor, the religious organization. So the gap between the what we call this, for us, we consider as ordinary people between the Knights member then are very what we just we think of, we look at this as elitist group. reorient or recalibrate about their thinking about the organization or the people inside the organization. It must be more local, more down to earth or humble, so that ordinary people can can reach them like us.
Yes.
Kasi we have abroad people expecting that we are propagating patriotism and nationalism, but the very persons advocating that sense or nationalism are unreachable, on my point of view. But we try to get more masses to enter the organization without sacrificing the quality of members. We have
Yes.
issues with them. So many people. We are organization. We started only seven in the chapter, Mount Makiling, the revival chapter. But look at me now. We are now 22. So we targeted at least at the end of 2020, at least we reached the 50, at least 50 members. But because of that, situation, we only reached 22. But most of them are faculties of the university. We recruited faculties of the university.
Mhm.
Nine. Almost all of the faculties in social science department of the UPLB joined the group.
What, as you know, Knights of Rizal have their own set of rituals, of activities that are mandated by the bylaws, and other activities that are have been traditionally held by the Knights of Rizal. Which activities, sir,
Yes, sir.
of the Knights of Rizal do you look forward to?
In Los Banos, sir, the shrine of Paciano Rizal is located in Los Banos. So we added that to our calendar of activities. It's a significant activity because that is the brother of Rizal, Dr. Rizal, and he resided here in Los Banos. So every March or first week of March, they celebrated the additional activity. It's a related activity toward Rizal, which the KOR are promoting also. That March for China Rizal, the June 19, the birthplace, and December 30.
The city of Los Banos has a lot to offer in terms of tourism.
Yes, sir.
What do you have to say to our brothers who are around the world who would like to visit the Knights of Rizal in Los Baños and enjoy
Yes, sir.
the Mount Makiling,
Mount
the
Makiling,
National
sir.
Arts
Very, very,
Center, and
very
even
good.
Paciano
Yes,
Rizal Shrine.
yes.
What do you have to say to our international brothers?
So we are proud to say that this chapter, or Los Baños per se, there are only two towns mentioned by Dr. Rizal in his novel. The one in Noli Me Tangere, chapter 10, which is the title is San Diego, correct? San
Yes, sir.
Diego, which we believe is a dictionary town of Calamba. In El Filibusterismo, that Noli Me Tangere, chapter 10. But in El Filibusterismo, chapter 11, he only mentioned Los Baños. So we called our chapter, Mount Makiling chapter, El Filibusterismo 11, which is Los Baños. So the only two towns mentioned by the other is Pictionary, San Diego, which is Los Calamba. But in El Filibusterismo, chapter 11, he described it clearly ang Los Baños.
That's
He
very
describes
interesting.
Mount Makiling and the
Uh-huh.
Dampalit or small dampa or Dampang Maliit, which is located in Barangay Lalakay in Los Baños. So we are proud to say that this is the second town described by the novels of the two novels or novels of Rizal is still standing. So when we discussed it during our first anniversary, the regional commander, Sir Vice Mayor Calderon, shocked. really, this yes, I read the segment about how the national hero described the town of Los Banos,
Very
describing the Mount
nice.
Makiling and
Uh-huh.
the waterfalls, the hot springs. So it's clearly Los Banos.
For our international brothers who come to the Philippines to attend international assembly, who want to see that Los Baños and all the places that you mentioned, sir, I'm pretty sure you'll be more than happy to accommodate them in touring
Yes,
them,
sir.
maybe as a group or individually. So this is one of the benefits, really, of having know your nights. We
Yeah.
discover some, I wouldn't say oddities, but we discover some minute details that which seems small, a small mention in the El Filibusterismo chapter 11, but you are actually living it. You're actually there in those places, and I'm sure they'll be excited to see those places too. You mentioned about No Limitang Ren El Filibusterismo, sir. Which of the characters in those two books do you look up to, or do you that inspire you?
Number one is what I said earlier, the chapter 11 of El Presbytery Los Baños. Then, upon reading the story about Philosopher Tasio, it believed his brother. Then when we uh, sometimes we conducted the meeting in Paciano Rizal because their family are friends. She she discussed or storied the life of Paciano Rizal. But if you see the terrace of Paciano Rizal in Los Baños, you see that they, before, without the buildings in Calamba, the northeastern side of the terrace, they can see their house in Calamba. Looking at when you are in Los Baños in the lake shore, in the lake shore. So that's an interesting story. Why Pasan Rizal, or what we call it, it is to believe as Pelos Puntasio in her novel, I believe, because that's the relative said. Uh, Los Banos played a strategic role in the Rizal family. Why? Why Pasan Rizal choose to reside in Los Baños, not in Calamba? That the story of the story excites me.
Uh-huh.
Why the Rizal family or Paciano Rizal reside in Los Baños, not in Cabuyao, not in Jimbinyang? Why in Los Baños? We are still looking for answers with our brothers' night in the social department in UPLB.
It's interesting that in the terrace of his house
Yes.
uh,
He can see.
he can
He can see.
see their house in Calamba.
Yeah.
Wow,
Uh,
that's very
back,
interesting. And
back,
maybe,
back then,
yeah, back
when
then,
there
yes,
no
yes,
development
yes, yes.
before, so especially chosen that place during the retirement years of General Pasan Rizal. What the relative said to our group.
Yeah, it's interesting because maybe it's a symbolism of how, you know, the relationship with Paciano Rizal and Jose Rizal. When
Yes.
Jose Rizal left for Europe,
Yep.
they just exchange
Yes, sir.
letters,
Yes, sir.
and so it's like he was in Paciano Rizal was living his brother's life through his letters, his adventures, his
Yes, sir.
his uh, friends' activities in Europe. So it symbolized that in their house situation, he resided in Los Baños.
Yes, sir.
Still, he can still see the
Yes.
house
They're how they're
in
all
Calamba.
they're oh, yes, sir.